Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of Not to Self, the video podcast series, coming to you after a small break of a few weeks. A warm welcome to those of you who have been here from the beginning, and for those of you who joined new, welcome to the channel and welcome to this video series. So without further ado, let's jump into today's topic, nepotism. Nepotism, put into simple words, is favoring someone's family or relatives over non-relatives. Be it politics, be it business, be it anything else. If someone is favoring a family member to be promoted, to be positioned overlooking a non-relative who could be more suitable for the said position, that is known as nepotism. So in this video, let's talk about whether nepotism is good or bad, whether nepotism is advantageous or disadvantageous, and when to call it nepotism, and how to deal with a situation of nepotism. So please do mind that whatever said and done in this particular video are my personal opinions, and you are very much free to have your opinions and express your ideas as well. And also I am very much open for criticism. So having said that, let's move on to the discussion. Let's jump into the first topic and check and see if nepotism is actually good or bad. Every coin has two sides, so does nepotism. It has both good and bad. To discuss this, let's create a story and walk you through that. Shall we? Imagine you are an owner of a successful company which you worked really hard to get to a level. Now, you want to change your course. Now you want to do something new. You want to go ahead and try something that you were dreaming about from your small days, so that the company that you brought up is automatically continuing its course. So you want someone to take up the company's responsibilities that you were handling and continue as it is, like the same way that you were handling the situations. So now we have two options, basically two people to choose from. One is a family member, and two is a non-relative who is actually a member of the team of that particular company, who has been long enough with the company that he is able to be the main figure of that particular company. So whom are you going to choose, and how are you going to choose that particular person to take up the responsibility of that company? So let's talk about that. Basically, there are a few important points that you will consider, you will actually think about before going ahead and giving the opportunity to the relative or the non-relative person. So let's walk you through between those points that I see that you might be considering at this point. Number one, trust. You should be able to trust whoever the person who is going to go and take up the responsibilities of what you have been doing and continuing what you have been doing in the company. So trust is actually an important thing. So knowing that person, knowing that relative person, or knowing the family member that you are going to choose between, you can, knowing that person from the small days, you are able to kind of trust him. You know inside out of that particular person, so you know something, one or two things about that particular person, and you have an understanding whether that particular person is trustworthy. So that is actually an advantage that I see there. But then again, when it comes to the non-relative, if that particular person has been there for long, that particular person has acted upon whatever the situations that he has come across, he or she has come across during his tenure at your particular company, if that particular person has taken the right decisions at right time, if he has taken calculated risks, if he was doing a good job, if he was trustworthy during that tenure, then I think you will be able to trust that person as well. So it's kind of a balance in between the relative and non-relative when it comes to the trust. But if that particular person who is the non-relative that you're going to choose in between is not trustworthy, or if that particular person has a small bad history, let's say, then the weight will change and the relative side will actually weigh more. That is one point. Then number two, personality of that particular person and the ability to lead. So what you understand when you say personality of that particular person and the ability to lead. Whoever the person who is going to take up the responsibilities of what you have been doing and what you have brought up, the company basically has to run as it is, and people should support that particular person. The rest of the team should support your new appointment, the person who is actually going to take up the responsibility. So if the personality and the leadership role of that particular person is not good compared to the non-relative, then the best option will be going ahead with the non-relative, because at the end of the day, what actually matters is not just the a single person being responsible. It's not just a nominal position, but it is something that actually bears some responsibilities. So if that particular person is very personality-wise very improved, and if that particular person has the support of the whole team, then I think if the family member or the relative has that support, or if the non-relative has that support, then you can actually weigh in and see. Then when it comes to point 3, it is say for example, if you appoint the relative to that particular position, and if that particular person considers that as a jewelry that was worn upon him, and just forget all the responsibilities and just try to abuse the power that they are getting by that particular appointment, do you think that your company could actually run at least for a few years? I don't think so. So that is also something that you would have to consider, because if you appoint a relative, a family member or a relation of yours to a higher position, and if that particular person is taking that as not a responsibility but just a position that was awarded to him just because he or she is a family member, then they'll definitely abuse that. They'll abuse the powers that they are getting, because with great power comes great responsibility. So if they were given power, and if the wrong person is given power, they actually will know that there's no consequence of the actions that they will be doing, because you are a relation of theirs. But when it comes to the non-relative will actually have the consequences. They will actually have an understanding of the consequences of what will happen, what will be the outcome if that particular person did not perform well. And when it comes to the relative, there's a huge tendency that they will not really care about that. So that is actually a downside of that, a disadvantage, I must say. But if you are able to be upfront with the relative, if you are able to line up the consequences that he or she will have to face if that particular person is not performing well, and if he or she understands that, then there's a chance that it will be successful. So those major points that I actually walked you through are the major points that you will be thinking about, you will be considering, you will be taking into consideration when you are going to appoint a person to that particular role. So apart from the qualifications, the paper qualifications, the experiences and all those stuff, considering that those experiences and paper qualifications are at a equal level in between the relation and the non-relation, those points, the trust, the personality and leadership role, and that whether that particular person is able to handle the position, is actually coming into play, will actually come into play, and it will play a huge role when it comes to making the correct decision. So that is actually a small discussion about whether the nepotism is good or whether nepotism is bad. So as I explained earlier, it actually has both sides. Continuing the discussion, the point to note here is that nepotism is nowhere have been listed as illegal. However, I don't know if it can be mentioned as an extension of the previous video episode of Note to Self video podcast series, which I did a few weeks ago, which I did as discrimination. So if the appointment or choosing is done over more qualified member, and choosing a family member over that particular person was based on the ethnicity, religion, or the color of the skin, whatnot, it can be challenged as a discriminating act with proof if required. But then again, nepotism is not illegal. So let's see when to name it nepotism and how to deal with it or handle such situations. If you look at the countries in the world, it is not just in one or two countries that we can see examples of nepotism, but many countries are basically accused of such nepotism scenarios. This is mostly being shown in the aspect of politics. This is be it like brothers, sisters, children, in-laws, nephews, nieces, whatever the relationship be. In many countries, politicians offer them the high positions and pay them high salaries and keep them there, basically. Had that been useful? Think for yourself. And have that awarding of positions were really successful, and have them were they living their dream lives with the taxpayers' money, or whether they performed really well and whether they did a change. Basically, think Mallesimla Tibilama Nadda. So let's see if you are caught up in such a scenario where you had to choose between a relative and an unrelative. My advice is first forget the fact that the person is a relative and wait and see who is capable of the position or the opportunity that being presented. So basically, if you are going to present a position or an opportunity, give them the equal ground, and then from that point calculate who will be the best person to be awarded that particular position. Consider both the external factors as what could the rest of the team's reaction would be, and who would be the most suitable when it comes to handling scenarios like team problems and whatnot and everything. Also, majorly consider about the exit strategy. Exit strategy as in like, if I term exit strategy here, it's like how you, if that particular person is not performing well, how we are going to replace that person, or what are the consequences that that person will be facing at the end of the day. So have the relationships, have the family bonds, have the relationships separated from your work life, and have the work life run in a separate line, and have the relationships run in a separate line, and don't ever mix them up, or else at the end of the day you will be the person who will be actually suffering, and or who will be actually be blamed at the end. So it's not that it's a criminal thing, criminal activity that you do if you are going to appoint a relation or a relative or a family member to a particular position, but the people who sees it from the outside should be able to see from the very angle that you are seeing it. If and only if that you are doing it in a good way, basically. So if you are doing it for the betterment, if you are doing it for the betterment of the whole team or the whole country or whole world or whatever the community as a whole, or else if you are doing it just for the betterment of your family or that particular family member, then there's a difference in that. So what if you have been a victim of such a scenario? Either you are not the chosen one and you will have to be a team member of that particular person, under that particular person, or with that particular person. You will have to work, you will have to perform. So basically, what's the best thing to do in such scenarios? Basically, what I would advise is be true to yourself. Be true to yourself in the sense, if you can work, if you can perform, if you can actually be open up to them and do what you are required to do, and just go ahead and do that. So that summarizes what I was talking about for the past few minutes about nepotism. So basically, nepotism is actually a thing. It is a thing that had been here since day one, in many years actually. It has both goods and bad. Applied to the right position at the right time, it has the potential of being a good thing, even though many people actually criticizes that. So basically, so this categorization of whether nepotism is actually good or bad is actually depend on the point of view of that particular person who is actually discussing about it. Later on, nepotism, whatever the topic, whatever the discussions, whatever the things that you are talking about is actually relative to the point of view of your ideas. So having said that, that actually summarizes the discussion that we had regarding nepotism, and hope to see you soon with a new video, new interesting topic to talk about, and see you in a new video and new episode. So until then, stay safe, bye bye.